All right, let's just jump right into it. We're about to connect two things that sound like they have absolutely nothing to do with each other: near-death experiences and artificial intelligence. I know, it sounds pretty out there, but trust me, the connection is fascinating. So think of this as a puzzle. On one side, you've got the world of pattern. This is the land of logic, structure, predictability. It's the very foundation of AI. But on the other side, we have the world of the profound. This is all about transformation, chaos, and deeply personal, subjective experiences, like NDEs. So the big question is, how on earth do these two alien worlds collide? Well, to figure that out, we first need a kind of blueprint, a guide for creating order out of chaos. We're going to look at a framework for building stable AI systems called the GOAT approach from Dennis Verhaage, and you'll see how its core ideas show up in a really interesting psychological dynamic. When you strip it all down, the GO approach is really about one thing: building stability. And how does it do that? By finding and using cognitive patterns that are reliable and predictable. It turns out this isn't just an AI thing. We can actually see this exact same principle at work in the way people interact, especially when two very different personality types come together. Okay, let's make this simple with an analogy from psychology. Imagine an ESFP, someone who's super spontaneous, living in the moment. Now pair them with an ISTJ who is all about structure, details, and planning. You'd think they'd clash, right? But here's the magic. The ESFP's emotional value-driven side finds the ISTJ's logical, structured approach to be incredibly grounding and reassuring. It's this beautiful balance between subjective feelings and objective structure that makes the whole system stable. So this presents a really clear choice for our spontaneous ESFP. You can either lean into that stable, patterned world offered by the ISTJ, or you can spiral into what the sources describe as limerence. You can think of it as a kind of emotional chaos, this obsessive state that actively rejects any kind of pattern or stability. It's function versus dysfunction. And here's the kicker. This stability we're talking about, it isn't just some fuzzy feeling. It's backed by hard, empirical proof. The sources point out that this logical, patterned way of doing things is validated by a very real, systematic method, one that's being used right now to develop advanced AI. And this is it. This is the proof. A process called environment tuning uses this exact four-stage curriculum to train AI agents. You start with the absolute basics, syntax mastery, and you build up step by predictable step to full complexity. It's the perfect example of creating order from the ground up, one reliable, verifiable pattern at a time. It just works. Okay, so let's park the AI for a second. Now we're going to jump over to that second world, the world of the profound. We're going to look at what happens when the human mind itself gets completely destabilized and has to somehow find its way back to a stable reality. So, fascinating research from the University of Virginia on near-death experiences shows that people go through these incredible positive changes. They have less fear of death, a deeper sense of purpose, more compassion, all amazing stuff. But, and this is so important, they often have a really, really hard time integrating these new insights into their old lives. It creates this intense internal conflict, this cognitive dissonance. It's like their whole world has been turned upside down. And that leads us right back to the exact same problem we started with. When your mind is flooded with chaotic, overwhelming new information, how do you piece it all back together? How do you find a stable framework that makes sense of the world again? And right here, this is where our two alien worlds finally slam into each other. Because the way the human brain fights to find stability after an NDE offers an incredible, unexpected validation for the entire psychological framework that the GO approach is built on. The first bridge between these worlds is found in the brain itself. Research suggests that NDEs have a significant effect on a region called the orbitofrontal cortex, or OFC. Now, you can think of the OFC as the brain's manager. It helps regulate emotions, attachments, and priorities. And what's so wild is that the GO approach framework identifies this very same part of the brain as being absolutely critical for telling the difference between a functional relationship and chaotic emotional overdrive. The second bridge is all about methodology. The GO approach is built on a principle called operationalization. It's really just a way of saying, hey, if we're going to build something stable, we need to be able to measure our concepts. We have to turn abstract ideas into testable patterns. Well, guess what NDE research does? It takes these deeply personal, subjective experiences and works to find measurable, verifiable patterns within them. It's the same exact goal. And that brings us to the third bridge, which is all about psychology. To successfully integrate their NDE, a person needs a strong support system, one that gives them a sense of autonomy, competence, and connection. And that support system is a perfect match for something called self-determination theory, which, you guessed it, is also a central pillar of the Go Approach's method for building stable ethical systems. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. What does it all mean? What is the real connection between a human brain rewiring itself after a profound experience and an AI learning how to operate in the world? Now, we have to be super clear about this. The research on NDEs doesn't prove that the specific algorithms or the code in the Go approach are correct. That's not the point. What it does is provide powerful, real-world support for the underlying idea, the cognitive and psychological framework it's all based on. It shows that when the human mind is pushed to its absolute limit, it naturally seeks out the exact principles of stability, integration, and structured support that the Go approach is designed to model. So here's the big takeaway. The immense challenge of integrating a profound experience like an NDE proves just how much we need stable cognitive models to navigate life. The neuroscience of the OFC gives us a direct, physical link between these two seemingly separate worlds. And at the end of the day, both the human experience and the AI framework teach us the same lesson. The best way to move from chaos to coherence is through structured, disciplined action. And that leaves us with one last, really big question to think about. If our brain's natural response to one of the deepest mysteries of life actually confirms a blueprint for building stable artificial intelligence, what other secrets for designing our external world are just waiting to be discovered inside our own minds?